Hey, what's up, Cheese Panini Virgin Gang? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good. Happy New Year's Eve. Hope you're out having some good times, celebrating out with good people today. My favorite card I actually happen to get of all of 2023, I'm going to put that up today, is going to have to be Pikachu Zekrom GX. This is going to be the tag team alternate art from Tag Bolt. This was the last one I needed to have all the alternate art tag team cards in Japanese in my collection. Fantastic card, awesome artwork. I really wanted this card for a long time. Never really had luck getting it. The price just shot all the way up. Thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. Some stuff happened. I was able to actually pick up this card, sit in the binder, and one of the accomplishments I actually did for 2023. Once again, happy New Year's Eve, and hope everybody's having a great time tonight. Want to end off the year with, unfortunately, something I kind of started the year with, and it's look, I don't like talking about this kind of stuff, but I think it's important because a lot of average people here kind of ask questions about grading a good little bit. They ask where they should get cards graded from, and I'm going to be real with you. I'm never going to tell you any bullshit or anything like that. Like, I would recommend you just not grade your cards right now anymore, especially with any of the actual big-time modern grading companies. I just don't think the risk is worth it anymore, and what I'm about to show you definitely does not help that case. I've got nothing against the person actually involved in it. I've got nothing really against, said people who actually maybe graded this card, but at the same time, I definitely do think this needs to be discussed because this kind of shows where grading is going and my prediction for where grading is going to be in 2024. I think this is a perfect way to start that off. All right, what's what we got up here? This is going to be on Instagram. This is CGC Cards and Pokemon Radar right there. You got Matt Quinn on behalf of CGC. You got John Pokemon Radar. Everybody knows him. Don't need to introduce him. What essentially is going on here is he's doing a CGC grade. He has a Illustrator Pikachu. He has one of those that's up for grade. He decided to go through CGC. They're doing a whole dance and show about this stuff. He's like, hey, I bet you won't guess what this stuff grade right there. He slides over to him like that. And then John's just like trying to rub his nuts, trying to figure out what grade it is. He's like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Let me feel that stuff out. He turns it over. Whoa, it's a 10. That's a super cool card. Now look, great card, great stuff. CGC putting this up. I really don't have a problem with per se. Got a Gem Mint 10, which is not their highest grade. Their highest is a pristine 10. They did their actual grading, markup changes. And he's looking at the card, looks pretty clean. They're talking some old CGC business stuff, like, oh, this is a fair grade, this is good stuff right here. Talking back and forth. It's the best card they've seen, probably one of the ones. The surface is amazing, blah, blah, blah. Sure, whatever, fine. Not really that big a deal. Where it got kind of interesting was I looked at the comments of this actual post, and there were people down in there that were basically saying that this card is not a CGC 10. There's actual whitening on the edges, and if you actually check the scan on CGC per the actual registration number, you can very clearly see a couple spots. So I decided to go down that rabbit hole. I was like, sure, fuck it, why not? I got nothing better to do. You look up that once, the actual registration that ends in 7002, right there, you can see very clearly. And then you actually flip it over and you look at those bottom corners on the back. So right there on the left side, you have a pretty notable factory fuck corner right there where it's very white. There's like, it's not even like kind of, the corners kind of got some shit on right there. And it's really bad at the bottom. But all around the actual corner, there's some very minor whitening. On the actual right side, it's not quite as bad. Still a little bit here and there, but you do got a little ding right there where it's a little bit of whitening. I can't tell if that's actual edge damage itself. However, that is very much whitening. It is clear as day. It is plain. And you have two spots on the back of the card where it's very fucking visible. And of course, people in the comments, so yep, that was actually correct. So I wanted to actually look at their grading real quick, actual CGC, since they did that stuff. I wanted to see if they mentioned if there was any whitening allowed on the back of that for it to still be a 10 in that regard. So CGC still does like subgrade grading. They just don't allow the fucking subgrades to be on the cards anymore. I don't know why. That was a super cool thing that they actually allowed to do. You could have the actual grades for every individual category right on the fucking slab itself. But they were like, fuck it, people like that. Let's get rid of that for some reason. So there's no real way to actually tell what they graded each one in particular, but I'm going to wager that the actual flaw was going to be the edges whenever it comes at stuff to keep it from getting the pristine. But let's see where it mentions edge damage at all. Let's see what that actual grade would be per their own standards on the website. So let's check a pristine real quick. That's a flawless card. It was so close. It is a virtually flawless card to the naked eye. The centering is 50-50, and the card has flawless color and registration. So it's a perfect card, right? Gem Mint 10, which the actual illustrator that John has, it received that. A Gem Mint 10 is a card that has received a 10 grade overall. However, one of the grading criteria does not meet the requirements for a pristine 10. So essentially, it can still meet a 10, but it's not a pristine. Corners will be perfect to the naked eye and Mint Plus under 10 times magnification. The surface is free of print spots and should also display perfect gloss, devoid of any surface flaw. Centering is not to exceed approximately 55 to 45, blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't mention anything about edges in there. It says surface, so I guess we can kind of group it in there. but it doesn't say anything is allowed on a 10. So let's keep going and let's go down a little bit more. Let's look at a 9, a mint. A mint card has 4 sharp corners with only minor wear visible. Slight minor flaws on the edge may be visible. The surface must also have original gloss, blah, blah, so no altering. It's goofy. That's the spot right there where they mentioned there's allowed a little bit of wear or whitening or edge anything on the card. It almost reads exactly the same on an 8. So I imagine, like, with a couple spots being on there, you could almost argue it could be an 8 based off that. No one pulling a card with whitening on it like that is going to be like, oh, that's grading a 10 at fucking any of these places. No. Watch any one of Cool Trainer Ryan's videos. He looks at them, he looks at the corners, he's like, yep, PSA 8, PSA 9, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I understand this is CGC, but CGC is supposed to be more of a, actual tougher grade, and that's why people generally like CGC before they completely redid their stuff. Now, this comment right here that I read, this is not one of the main ones. It's not one of the ones saying this, but they basically align with that. I agree with this comment completely. And it's no offense to Radar. It's no fucking real offense to CGC. But I believe this to be true a little bit. This is my opinion. Don't fucking sue me or anything. I just think this, alright? I don't care if you flew the helicopter, blah, blah, blah. I looked at the picture at the back of the card on the CGC website and can see the clear whitening on both bottom corners of the back. 2 fucked up corners is never a 10. He only got a 10 because of his social media following, and it's the most expensive card there is. Oh, if it sells for a lot of money, that looks good for CGC as well. That's a scam. A regular person sending in an average card would never get a CGC 10 with 2 corners with whitening on them. And that's the part I agree with the most, and that's where I kind of want to talk about a little bit. So this is very alarming for your average collector. You will not get this grade on that card if you were a regular person. This is how I feel, okay? I do believe that John, Pokemon Radar, got this because he is a bigger person in the Pokemon community. That is a very nice card, and it looks very good to grade that as a 10. It is very clear, plain as day, that there is whitening on the back of that card. Now, you can make arguments about subgrades. You can say the edge and all that stuff. Everything else is absolutely flawless, but this being a 9 or possibly 8, that could still give it a 10, right, per CGC? Absolutely. They can stamp whatever the fuck they want on the back of that card. However, that's not going to play out for everybody else. There's plenty of people who grade with the CGC who do not get that treatment at all with that stuff. And this should be alarming to you. And this is why every fucking day, every week, every month, I get more and more people that message me that say they're done with grading. They absolutely are done with it because to them, it's turning into an absolute joke. And when you see stuff like this, it only furthers it. I think CGC is going to have a very rough time. I really do. I think it's going to be a very hard sell here soon. So PSA, not perfect by any means. They have almost just as many flaws. They're just different. They're fucking PSA. People are going to use them regardless. Like how CGC is with comic books. Like people are like, well, fuck it, it's CGC. I have to use that for comics. Yeah, that's how people are with cards, man. CGC cards is not that same caliber. Beckett, PSA, every single fucking time. CGC is still trying to win people over, and stuff like this ain't going to do it. I'm not sending my cards into anybody, but holy shit, I'm definitely not sending them into PSA. You couldn't pay me to actually get my cards to touch your slabs with that level of just tomfoolery happening where you can literally look up a scan. It's a fucking Gem Mint 10 card, and there is 2 spots of whitening. There is no way your average collector would be getting anything close to that. Not even close. You would get a 9 immediately, and they'd be like, next, good try, buckaroo. That's a good card, but you see we're back here, there's 2 little spots of whitening on there. That's a little bit of that edge wear, my guy. We can't have, like, it's so obvious to me personally how I feel. This is my fucking opinion, that this is done because of who it is and how it looks to them on social media. I don't care if it offends you. I don't care if you're friends with said person. Once again, I don't have anything against you, Pokemon Radar. I don't. I really don't. But no one's going to sit there and look at those 2 spots and say if I submitted a card like that, that I'd get that same treatment. That if a regular person submitted that card, they get that same treatment. Absolutely fucking not. And I just really think when people are talking about grading and people want to talk about that stuff, I think you should take your hat out of that ring. I really do. I don't even think CGC should be a fucking combination of letters to fucking escape your mouth when it comes to talking about cards until they actually hold these standards across the board. They change these standards. They change all this stuff. They went more streamlined for PSA. And now I'm kind of seeing why. Now I kind of feel like I understand why they were doing it. So stuff like this is a little bit easier to justify. Look at that. Their actual fucking subgrades are hidden. They're completely gone. I don't know what the fuck it is anymore. What they grade the edges? I don't know. No one fucking knows except the actual grader and maybe possibly John. Maybe. Like, that's it. That's all that it is. And it's very clear to me that it's just not, it's not one of those things that I would recommend you doing. You're still an adult. You can do your own stuff. You can have your own money. You can do your own things. I'm looking at CGC like this. Once again, Radar, not really shitting on you. You're just part of it. You just happen to be in the proximity and it just happens to be your card. I'm looking at CGC like this. Like, dog. Come on. Like, right there at the bottom. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me with this, like, right here? Really? That's what's good? That's what's good in the fucking hood? That's what gets you 10s? Okay, I better start seeing a lot more 10s coming out of some of these packs, my guy. I get it. It's a good card. It's an Illustrator Pikachu. It's fantastic. The best cards that's ever fucking existed and ever come on Pokemon cards. I understand. Man, what the fuck happened to y'all standards, though? What the hell, man? I would have had respect. I'm not walking off yet. I would have had respect for you if you put your fucking stones on their CGC cards and were just like, it's a 9. I would have respected the fuck out of that decision and just told them, nope, sorry, it's a 9. And honestly, Radar probably would have been fine with it too. Honestly, he probably would have been. I don't know him personally, but a lot of people here do. I'm sure he would have been fine with it. I don't know. Think about your grading stuff, guys. That's all I got. Happy New Year. Just think about that moving into 2024. Grading is going to be a whole different thing. You mark my words. It's going to be a whole different discussion and a whole different type of grading as it was the last few years. Believe me.